Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're focusing on a really interesting professional journey, the one of All Blacks loosehead prop Tamaiti Williams. We've got some sources that reveal the challenging path of growth at the very top of international rugby.
Yeah, and we've got some fantastic insights taken directly from a conversation with Williams himself. And it's not just about the results of the recent campaign.
Yeah.
It's more about the profound mental shift that's required when a player who is, already world class suddenly realizes the goalposts have moved.
And that's really our mission for you, the listener. We want you to walk away from this understanding those subtle, often surprising demands, both psychological and technical, that are placed on an elite prop today.
Demands that, as he said, caught even him off guard in 2025.
Exactly. This is your shortcut to understanding what genuine continuous improvement really looks like when, failure is being measured on a global stage.
It's the difference, I think, between being just a great player and becoming a truly enduring one. It means you got to be willing to almost dismantle and rebuild your game.
Even after you've already had huge success.
Especially then.
So if you're ready to get right into the analysis of the game's biggest stories and player mindsets, make sure you subscribe right now to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. You won't want to miss how we break down the way the professional game is changing.
Okay, so let's start with the man himself.
Tamaiti Williams.
He's a huge talent. I mean, literally and figuratively. He's 25, a powerhouse prop for the Crusaders.
And he didn't just sneak onto the international scene, did he? He really smashed his way in.
Oh, absolutely. His test debut was in 2023, and his impact was, well, immediate. He secured his reputation as this formidable presence right from the get-go.
And I remember the sources for that World Cup run. They couldn't speak highly enough of him, especially his role coming off the bench.
Yes.
They specifically said he impressively quelled the Springboks' threat at the scrum.
Which is about as high praise as you can get for a prop. It confirms he has the brute strength, sure, but also the technical skill for those massive moments.
He certainly does, but that's the backstory.
Right. When we move to the 2025 season, the whole narrative shifts a bit. The All Blacks had what you'd call a mixed campaign.
An understatement, maybe? They lost 3 matches, didn't secure the rugby championship.
And fell short of a Grand Slam on the Northern Tour. So for Williams, stepping into this new era under Scott Robertson, well, success didn't just flow easily.
And this brings us to that moment of honest reflection that we found so compelling in the source. Despite being the guy who, quelled the Bucks, Williams admitted that he was challenged in ways that caught me off guard.
And when a player of that caliber admits surprise, the game itself is evolving at breakneck speed.
Absolutely. He even pointed to a specific moment, didn't he?
He did. He said the scrum against England. That was the big one.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a comment on effort. It was a realization that the technical demands he was facing were just completely new. And what's fascinating is he analyzed the position, not just his own performance.
He said, the demand on the prop nowadays to 20 years ago is a lot different. That's a staggering thing to hear from a current player. So what is that difference? What's fundamentally shifted?
Well, if you really dig into it and connect it to modern tactics, the shift is enormous. I mean, 20 years ago, the prop was mainly a set-piece specialist.
Right, a scrummager, a ruck hitter.
Exactly, conserved for the tight 5 duties. But now, as Williams said, the way we want to play the game is a lot different.
Which implies a whole lot more athleticism, right?
A huge amount more. The modern game is all about speed, continuity, high tackle counts. Props are now almost expected to function like a blindside flanker in phase play.
Wow.
They've got to track across the field, make tackles way outside the ruck zone, and then recover instantly to power the next scrum.
Yeah.
The aerobic demand has just, it skyrocketed.
So the technical battle in the scrum, that's no longer the whole job.
Not at all. It's just the entry point to a much larger, more grueling physical workload.
So his challenge against England, it probably wasn't just surviving the scrum itself.
I'd say not. It was performing that set piece perfectly and then having to immediately transition at high speed to the next breakdown, whether that's attack or defense.
It's an unsustainable pace for that old style of prop.
And that's what keeps the elite on their toes. It demands this incredibly specific kind of fitness and adaptation in areas that, even a successful player like Williams might not have had to focus on so intensely before.
That pressure to adapt probably informed how head coach Scott Robertson used him in 2025. Despite being seen as one of the world's best, Williams was largely used as an impact player off the bench. So you have to ask, Why bench one of your most potent forwards?
And that's a crucial question. It speaks directly to Robertson's strategy. Using a player with Williams' destructive power off the bench. That's a calculated move.
It's about guaranteeing forward momentum.
Especially in that critical final 20 or 30 minutes when the opposition is starting to fatigue. The impact player has to come on and deliver perfection immediately.
Which puts a really unique, intense mental pressure on a player, knowing you've only got this short, high-stakes window to execute.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And Williams' response just shows his maturity, that team-first mentality. He acknowledged how tough the role shift was. He said, I've learned how important that is. Everyone wants to start, but I'm a full believer in team first, so it's been a bit of a ride.
A bit of a ride feels like an understatement for that mental shift.
I'd say so.
But his analysis of managing opportunities is what really stands out.
He does. His key lesson, and this really applies to any high-pressure job, not just rugby, was one thing I've learned is when you get an opportunity, you've got to take it.
And he was honest about it.
Very. He said, I've got it right at times, but I've also got it wrong. I've taken a lot of growth out of that.
That kind of self-critical honesty, that's the hallmark of someone who plans to stay at the top for a long, long time. He's not resting on his World Cup performance.
No, he's admitting he missed chances, even in those limited bench minutes. It shows he's absorbing the lessons from 2025 and turning them into real goals for 2026.
It's that essential professional feedback loop. When you're only on the field for 20 minutes, every single action is magnified.
A missed carry, a defensive slip, a scrum where you don't get dominance. The cost is immediate.
Well,
Williams gets that. The bench role demands peak performance, instantly, every time.
And that's a great spot to just pause for a second, to appreciate the level of introspection here. If you're enjoying this kind of targeted analysis that gets right to the core of the professional mindset in rugby, remember to subscribe to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. We deliver the quotes and the context you need to really understand the game.
So let's turn our focus to the future then. Williams is looking to iron out those flaws when the 2026 test season begins.
And the All Blacks are trying to finally hit their stride under Robertson.
Well, that stride is going to be determined by the whole team environment. And the source material really focuses on the interesting composition of this new era All Blacks forward pack.
It's a very purposeful mix.
It is. Robertson handed out a number of debuts in 2025, which signals a rebuild, but he balanced that by keeping a very experienced, very successful core.
And Williams seems to really appreciate the fleeting nature of that blend. He said, "One thing I've learned in rugby is there'll never be a time that this team will be together again."
Which must create this incredible sense of urgency.
Not just for performance, but for mentorship, right?
Mm-hmm.
It suggests the players know they have to absorb and share knowledge and fast.
Precisely. It turns the locker room into this sort of accelerated learning environment. You've got your veterans, the cultural anchors like Cody Taylor, Scott Barrett, Artie Savea.
These who've been at the top for a decade.
Yeah, and their presence provides stability, emotional control, technical wisdom. They know how to close out a tight test match.
And Williams himself gave a fantastic example of that generational shift. He talks about sitting next to the new talent, like Fabian Holland.
Right, who played under-20s for the Highlanders in Ashburton.
And Williams remembers watching him back then and realizing that feels like yesterday.
That little anecdote really brings the whole team dynamic to life. You have the seasoned core, those three guys providing the history and the standards. Then you have players like Williams, still young but experienced, bridging the gap. And then
the prodigies?
You have the genuine prodigies like Holland, bringing fresh skills and, crucially, the fitness for the game's increasing speed.
And that blend is what the sources call a real strength for the All Blacks. It's not just that they have different athletes and ages.
No, it's that this diversity gives them specialized strengths for different stages of a game, for different types of pressure. The young guys can meet those high aerobic demands we talked about,
while the veterans provide the cool-headed decision-making that prevents those critical late-game errors.
It really speaks to Robertson's philosophy. You invest in the future while relying on the proven experience of the present. This careful mix ensures that the lessons Williams learned are being passed down to the newest members.
While the veterans make sure the hard-won standards of the All Blacks jersey stay intact, it sounds like they're not just building a team for 2026, they're building a multi-generational system.
A system designed to handle the exact demands that caught Williams off guard.
They're preparing for an evolutionary game, not just the next match.
That's the analysis.
So, to quickly summarize the core takeaways from Tamaiti Williams' reflection, Being elite and staying elite requires constant adaptation to new demands, like the modern prop role, and a total professional embrace of that team-first mentality.
Even when it's a challenge to your ego, like being an impact player.
Exactly.
And this leads us to our final thought for you to consider. Williams found his biggest lessons in managing opportunities and adapting. So looking ahead to the 2026 test season, which specific element of this modern All Blacks squad? Is it the veterans' decision-making under pressure, the raw aerobic fitness of the new generation, or that ruthless impact player mentality from the bench? Which of those do you think will be the single most critical factor in their success?
Yeah, we really want to hear your analysis on that.
Mm.
If you found genuine value in this deep dive, please take a moment and subscribe now to Rugby Obsession so you don't miss any of our future breakdowns. And please let us know your predictions in the comments below.
Your insights really do enrich the whole discussion.
Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode.